हेलो डियर स्टूडेंट्स ऑफ क्लास 12 सीबीएसई। मैं आज आया हूं आप लोग के लिए कंप्लीट पैक में लेकर के एमसीक्यू टेस्ट के लिए। आपका जो फर्स्ट टर्म है उसके लिए नॉट ओनली दैट, पूरा का पूरा आपका जो एमसीक्यू में जितने भी क्वेश्चंस आएंगे लगभग आपको जो मैं आज करने जा रहा हूं उसमें सारा का सारा आपको होगा। तो मैं क्या कर रहा हूं, जो शॉर्ट नोट्स है हर एक चैप्टर का राइटिंग सेक्शन है वो देने जा रहा हूँ, जिसको कि आप देख लेना। और अगर कोई चाहे तो आप उसको डाउनलोड भी कर सकते हो जा करके। तो जरा हम देखें Chapter 1, the last lesson, about the author. A. Alphonse Daudet, born in 1840, died in 1897. B. A French novelist and short story writer. Theme of the story: A. Patriotism. B. Significance of mother tongue in freedom struggle. Historical background of the story: A. The Franco-Prussian War that started in the year 1870 ended in the year 1871. B. Prussia consisted of Germany, Poland, parts of Austria. C. Two districts, Alsace and Lorraine of France, got captured by the Prussian soldiers. Characters in the story: A. Franz, a school-going child narrator of the story. B. M. Hamill, main character, teacher, serving in the school of Alsace for 40 years. C. Mr. Watcher, a goldsmith. D. Hauser, an old man sitting inside the classroom. Now, events in the story. 1. Events before reaching school. A. Franz was afraid of being late and not remembering participles. B. Was attracted by bright sun, chirping birds and drilling of the Prussian soldiers. Next, C. Saw a large gathering in front of the bulletin board near the town hall. D. Realized about some bad news on the bulletin board. E. Was mocked by watcher for being late to school. F. But counted on the commotion for safe entry inside the classroom. Next, main point 2. Surprises for friends at school. A. Complete silence. B. Changed behavior of special dress of MML. C. Presence of the villagers and townspeople at the back benches. D. Old man Hauser with an old primary school book. E. Announcement regarding the last lesson in French language. Next, point number 3. Reaction of friends to the announcement. A. Was shocked by it. B. Regretted for not learning French and wasting time. C. Forgot about the cranky nature of the teacher and became sad and emotional. 4. Suggestions by M. Hamill before starting the lesson. A. To consider French to be the most logical, beautiful and clearest language. B. To realize that French would act as a key to get freedom from slavery. C. Warned the class not to forget French in spite of learning Germany. D. Blamed the parents and himself for negligence of French. Main point 5. Last lesson by M. Hamill. A. Taught grammar in excellent way. B. Distributed new notebooks with France and Alsace written on the cover. C. Complete silence during writing section. D. Only the sound of pen running on the paper. E. No one disturbed by the beetles inside the classroom. F. Small children drew fish hooks as if they were French. G. Everyone started to read during a reading section. H. Everyone wanted to laugh and cry listening to old Hauser reading like a small child with tears in his eyes. 6. Climax of the story. A. Class ended with the church bell striking 12. B. M. Hamill became sad listening to Angelus trumpet of Prussian soldiers and footsteps of his sister collecting his goods. C. Hamill tries to speak something to the class but fails due to emotion. D. Then turns to the blackboard and writes Vive la France means long live France, and E. At last makes a gesture with his hand to say school is dismissed, you may go. Next one, My Mother at 66. The poem, the first poem, My Mother at 66, written by Kamala Das. About the poet. A. Born in 1934 in Malabar, Kerala. Next, B. Known for her originality, versatility and indigenous flavor of soil. C. Madhavkutti, her pen name. Main point 2. Theme of the poem. The theme of the poem is A. Pain of separation, and B. Aging is a natural process. Summary of the poem. Kamala Das leaves her mother home to reach the airport to go to Cochin last Friday morning. She finds her mother dozing with the mouth open. Her face is compared to a dead body. Kamala Das realizes with pain that she is leaving her old mother all alone. When she needs the support, the poet tries to drive away the pain of separation and the fear of her mother's death by looking outside the vehicle at the young trees sprinting, running back, and the happy children rushing out of their homes with thrills and excitement. The poet feels happy, and her sad mood is replaced with sweet mood. But after the airport security check, the pain of separation results in sad thought again. After walking inside the security check, the poet dares to look at her mother. She finds her mother's face reflecting the deep sadness, pain of separation, and loss of brightness, which compels her to compare the mother's face to that of the late winter's moon. Suddenly, she experiences the same kind of ache, that is pain in her, that she used to experience during childhood due to the fear of separation from her mother. She wants to run back and hug her mother, but she only says, "See you soon, Amma." These words are the words of assurance given by a loving daughter to her mother. At last, she enters the aerodrome with a forced smile on her face, but pain of separation in her heart. The figures of speech used: alliteration, it is the repetition of the sound in the line. For example, my mother 66 MMSS. Next, but all I said was, "See you soon, Amma." SSS, that is being repeated. Next, B is simile. It is a figure of a speech in which two different things are compared using like, as, or as if. For example, here, her face ashen like that of corpse. Next, her face wan pale as late winter's moon. Next is imagery. This is a figure of a speech used to create images using the words. For example, young trees sprinting, the merry children spilling out of their homes. Next, personification. It is used to show human behavior in the things that certainly shows. For example, young trees sprinting. Next is metaphor. It is the comparison of two different things without the use of like, as, or as if. For example, trees and children have been compared to in the line, young trees sprinting, the merry children spilling. That is metaphor. Next one. Next is repetition. It is repetition of the word to emphasize the meaning. For example, all I did was smile and smile and smile. 3 words, they are repeated. Next one, irony. It is used to bring out two different situations like happiness and sorrow, positive and negative, etc. and also the difference between the surface and deeper meaning of a sentence. For example, the poet has smiled on the face, but with pain of separation in her heart. Next one, note. The line of the poet, the tone of the poet at the end of the poem is cheerful. Next one, see you soon, Amma, are the parting words. Next one, the poem is written in free verse, that is blank verse, and the next one is the poem is unique because it is written in a single line and has ended without a full stop. Next, in the case of letter to editor, let's say writing section, letter to editor. First of all, we give the sender's address at the top, then one line space we put the date. After that, again one line space receiver's post, and just below that name of the newspaper, then the address. Again one line space, then we put salutation. Just below salutation, subject is given, and just after subject we just request the newspaper or the editor to publish whatever the letter has been written, and moreover we draw the attention of the persons or the authorities concerned with whatever the problem is. In the second paragraph, we give suggestions, we give causes and effect. In the last paragraph, we give suggestions related to the problem, and after that one line space, then we do thanking you, and lastly we use yours faithfully, sincerely, truly, etc. Below that we put the signature, and lastly name in capital letters. So this is the format of letter to editor. On the basis of this one, we have a question also that certainly you can find out. After that, let's come to the next one. Chapter 2, Lost Spring by Anishan. First of all, about the author. Was born in Rourkela, Orissa in 1964. B. Got education in Hyderabad and the USA. C. Her parents were also writers. D. She became an editor or columnist. Next one, theme of the story. A. Loss of childhood due to child labor. Next one, Contents in the story or events in the story, whatever you may say. 1. Main point 1, Simapuri. A place on the periphery of Delhi. B. Wilderness before 1971. C. Inhabited by migrants from Dhaka. D. Migrated because their fields and houses were completely destroyed by a storm. Main point 2, rag pickers of Simapuri. A. Live in hutments without basic facilities. B. Earn their livelihood by rag picking. C. Children also partners of survival. D. More than 10,000 families work as rag pickers. Next, consider garbage to be gold. Next, more important, food is more important for identity than identity for them. Next, rag picking has taken the shape of fine artist Simapuri. Next, have received ration cards and their names included in the voter list. Next, Sahib Alam, about Sahib Alam. A. Ironical name which means Lord of Universe. B. Goes out rag picking with other barefooted children. C. Desires to go to school, wear shoes and play tennis. Next, his childhood lost the moment he starts working in the tea stall. Next one, Firozabad, about Firozabad. A. Famous for glass bangles. B. Mostly inhabited by bangle makers. C. Live in hutments without basic facilities. Next, more than 20,000 children work as bangle makers. Next, work in front of hot furnace in dim light. Next, loss of eyesight with the growing age. Next, exploited by middlemen, sahukars, etc. Next, reasons for bangle makers not making their cooperative. A. They don't have any time and energy left after the day's work, hard work. Next, lack of leaders. Next, fear of police. And next, the caste system do not allow them to go to do something else than bangle making. Next one, Mukesh, the main character Mukesh here. Next, he is a teenager earning by bangle making. Next, he is happy because his house is being renovated. Next, one day he takes Anish Jung to his house. Next, his grandparents consider bangle making and poverty to be his fate, to be his destiny. Next, but Mukesh dreams to become a mechanic and driver one day. Next, Anish Jung compares his dreams to mirage that cannot be fulfilled. Next, character is Savita. Savita is a small girl making bangles. Next, she does not know the importance of bangles herself. Next, she will realize their importance when suddenly married one day. Next, but there is no hope of change in her life even after the marriage. Next, an elementary school classroom in Islam, the poem written by Stephen Spender. First of all, about the poet. He was born in the year 1909 in England. Next, he left Oxford University without taking a degree. Next, he went to Berlin in the year 1913. Next, he was influenced by communism. Next, he wrote an autobiography, that is World Within World. Next, the theme of this very poem. The theme is social injustice and class inequality. So, summary of this poem. The first stanza. A strong waves of thrill and excitement are far away from the faces of the slum children sitting inside the classroom. The dry and dead hair, uncombed hair on their sick face have been compared to rootless weeds to show insecurity in their lives. There is a tall girl with her head weighed down because she is ill and exhausted. One child is thin, very thin as a paper, and there is hunger and sadness in the eyes that have been said to be eyes, rat's eyes. Next, one child is not fully physically well grown because his bones are diseased. He is said to be unlucky successor because instead of wealth and property, he received gnarl disease, that is naughty disease, from his father. He seems to be reciting this poem, this from his desk. At the back of the dim class, there is one small child who is sweet and young, and he has a dream in his eyes to enjoy his life just like a squirrel in the tree remains healthy environment other than this unhygienic environment of the classroom. Next, second stanza. The walls of the classrooms are dull looking and stinking. On these walls are the pictures donated by visitors. The pictures of Shakespeare symbolizing literature is meaningless for these children, these starving children. The picture of early dawn symbolizing a ray of hope is in contrast to the hopelessness dominating the lives of these children. The picture of civilized dome, that is religious center, is meaningless because these centers have failed to provide any positive aspect that is of civilization. There is social justice and inequality, class inequality, social justice and class equality to the slum children. The pictures of Tyrus Valley showing power and prosperity and beauty, and music is beyond the imagination of the slum children. Open-handed map, that is political map of the world, showing many divisions of the world by the dictators, is also meaningless for these children, as these divisions have failed to change the life of these children, the fate of these children. The world of these children outside the windows of the classroom has the future for them, which is dominated by fog, that is uncertainty. The narrow street they live in is covered with a lead sky, the smoke coming out of the factory. They are far away from the rivers, means natural beauty, or the fresh drinking water, also far away from the caves, and they are also far away from the stars of words, means the promises made by the leaders to bring a change in their lives. The third stanza. The slum children consider Shakespeare to be wicked because he didn't write anything about slum life. The map, that is the world of the rich, is a bad example for these children because the slum children do not find anything similar to their world. When these children look into the world of the rich, they find ships, that is thrill and excitement, sun, that is power and dignity, and love, which tempt them to get them by unfair means. It is so because their lives move on from fog, that is uncertainty, to endless night in the hutments. The bones of these starving children seem to peep out through their skins. The spectacles of steel with mended glass, that is repaired glass, on their dead and hard looking faces are like pieces of bottle on stones. All of their time, that is life and space, that is shelter, are full of uncertainty, so the poet desires to give them freedom from by blotting, that is destroying their world, which is full of slums as big as doom. Let's come to the fourth stanza. The fourth stanza says that unless the authorities responsible to bring an end to the social injustice, unless they visit the slums, they cannot understand how these windows, that is symbolizing poverty, disease, etc., shut the progress in the lives of the slum children. The poet has compared catacombs, that is underground cemetery or burial place, to slums because once a child is born in it, he cannot get freedom from it until his death. The poet appeals to everyone to break, that is end social injustice, and then take the children to green fields, that is healthy environment, where these children can enjoy the golden period of their childhood. The poet also wishes these children to be free from hunger, so that they may have hunger for knowledge from the books and nature all around. At last, the poet says that if these children get social justice, class equality, and quality education, then their language will have sun, that is power and confidence. Then they can play a significant role in making the history of any nation. Next one, let's come to advertisement, the writing section. There are two kinds of advertisements. One is classified, second display / commercial advertisement. Now, for the first time, we have to understand what classified advertisement is. Important facts about classified advertisement. 1. It is published in newspaper. 2. Complete sentences are avoided and details are written in phrases. 3. It is written in a single paragraph. 4. It has heading, details and advertisements, name and address and contact number. And last one, it is put in a box. Next one, important topics for classified advertisement. 1 is to let, 2nd is missing, 3rd is lost and found, 4th is jobs vacant, 5th is you may say sell and purchase, next may be change of name, next may be matrimonials. Now, contents for to let. In the case of to let contents, what are the contents? 1. Location of the house must be there. 2nd, details of the house must be there. Next, facilities in the house. Next, rent of that very house. And lastly, advertiser's name, address and contact number. Next one, there is a question, and just below that we have the example. An example, you can see that example of to let. The question is there. Now let's come to the second one, contents for missing. In the case of contents for missing, the first thing that must be there, name of the missing person or pet animal. 2nd is date and place of missing. 3rd is details of the missing person or animal, that is age, physical feature, identification mark, etc. Next one is the reward to the informer, and the last one is advertiser's name, address and contact number. Now after that we have a question, and after that we have the answer also. You will look through that. Next come contents for lost and found. First one, name of the thing lost or found must be mentioned. 2nd, date and place of loss. 3rd, details of the lost thing. 4th, reward to the finder. And 5th, advertiser's name, address and contact number. One thing mind you, that the moment we have the classified advertising related to the things found. In that case, details of the things found, they must not be mentioned. Next one, we have the question related to the things lost. Next one, let's come to fourth one, contents for jobs vacant. In the case of contents for jobs vacant, A, name of the post must be given, B, qualification required, C, experience and other requirements, D, salary, and the last one is advertiser's name, address and contact number. After that, we have the question and the answer also. You will go through that. Next, let's come to contents for sale and purchase. A, name of the thing to be sold or purchased, B, details of the thing, C, present condition of the thing, next, price, and the lastly, advertiser's name, address and contact number. Next one, we have the question also on that one, and after that we find that we have the notice also. Let's come to notice. In the case of notice, number 1 point to be remembered is it is information given to a group. Next one, it is written in a simple and formal language. Next one, first person, second person are not used. Next one, the word limit is 50, and the last one is the word notice, NOTICE, must be written in capital letters. Now we have the box to make. Just at the top we have the name of the institution or organization. Just below that, notice is written in capital letters. On the left hand side in the box we write the date, and just below notice we leave one line space and then we write the title. Just below the title we start writing the person to whom this very notice is meant for, then whatever the necessary details they are given, and lastly one line space is left, and then on the left hand side we put the signature. Just below signature, name in capital letters, and just below that the designation of the person who has written the notice. And after that we have the question. You will go through the question and the answer given here. Next one, we have chapter 3, Deep Water. Deep Water, written by William Douglas. Theme, experience of fear and freedom from it. About the author, he was born in 1898 in Minnesota, that is America. He graduated in English and economics. Next one, acted as an advisor and friend to Roosevelt, President Roosevelt of America. Next one, was the longest serving justice, that is 36 years he just served as justice in the history of the Court of America. Next one, events in the story. 1. Author's first experience of fear from water. A. At the age of 3 or 4. B. One day was taken to California beach by his father. C. He was knocked down by a wave. D. He submerged and suffocated in the water. Next, he remained afraid of water for many years. Next one, main point 2, his second experience of fear. A. He didn't get permission to go to the Yakima River. B. Mother considered the river to be dangerous. C. Mother increased his fear by narrating drowning cases. Next one, main point 3, reasons for YMCA to be safe. A. It was only 3 to 9 feet deep. B. It had a gradual slope. D. Tiles bottom could be visible. C. Presence of the other swimmers also made him think that it was safe to learn how to swim there. Next one, misadventure at the YMCA. It happened when William Douglas was of 10 to 11 years old. One day he was thrown at the deepest end by a strong boy. Next, he went down the water, lungs ached and suffocated. Next, suddenly he made a plan to hit the bottom and jump up. Next, came up very slowly and went down the second time. Next, this time the body paralyzed due to the fear this time. Next, he listened to his heartbeat and the pounding in the head. Next one, he remembered the strategy that and touched the bottom. Next, came up very slowly and went down the third time. Next, felt a black shadow sweeping across him. Next, suddenly he felt comfortable and drowsy. Next, he became unconscious, and next he was saved by the other people. Next one, effects of this misadventure. A. He felt weak and didn't feel hungry that night. B. He felt pain in the stomach for many days. C. He remained afraid of water for many years. D. One day after many years, he went for fishing but returned due to the fear of water. Next, his desire to go for fishing, boating, canoeing and swimming were all ruined due to the fear of water. Next one, at last he decided to learn how to swim. Next one, training by the instructor. A. 1 hour daily, 5 days a week for 7 months. B. He decreased his fear using a belt, rope and a pulley in 3 months. Next one, then he taught him to inhale and exhale under the water, above and below the water. Next one, after this, he taught him to use his legs and arms. Next, slowly and slowly, he made him a swimmer in 6 months. Next, in the last 7th month, what he did, he taught him different styles of swimming. Next one, main point, author's freedom from the fear of water. First A, first of all, he was afraid to swim without the instructor the next day. Next, he dared and got success in swimming across the pool. Next one, then he went to the rivers and seas and got success. Next one, but was afraid to swim in a deserted place. Next, he took it a challenge and went to warm lake near Gilbert Peak, but was afraid to swim at first, but dared and got success. Next, he became at last free from the fear of deep water. Next, he learned the lesson, all we have to fear is fear itself. Next, in death there is peace and there is terror only in the fear of death. That is the important line that certainly William Douglas got as a lesson from this very experience. Next one, keeping quiet, the poem written by Pablo Neruda. About the poet, A, her original name is Neftali Ricardo Reyes Bosalto. Next, was born in 1904 in Chile. Next, received Nobel Prize for Literature in 1971. The theme of this very poem, necessity of quiet introspection and creating a feeling of mutual understanding. First stanza, the summary of the first stanza, the poet asks us to count to 12 and keep quiet and most unless to achieve quiet introspection. Next, second stanza, the poet desires us to stop talking in any language on the face, that is countries of the earth, and also to stop moving our arms, that is doing activities to bring complete silence on the earth. Third stanza, this moment of silence will be exotic, that is wonderful, because there will be no rush, that is activities, no engines, that is noise, and we will all undergo quiet introspection, and suddenly we will have the feeling of togetherness. Next one, fourth stanza. After this feeling of togetherness, even the fishermen, that is the business class, will stop harming the whales, that is will stop disturbing the ecological balance. The man gathering salt, that is wealth and property, by hurting the hands, that is by hurting his health and hurting others also, exploiting others also, will also stop doing so, because he will understand the significance of balance between health and wealth. Those preparing for wars with deadly weapons will also realize that no one will survive if the next world war takes place. Then they will put on clean clothes, means that is they will try to bring the environment clean, and moreover they will start celebrating life rather than death. After this, they will enjoy their life with the feeling of brotherhood in the shade, that is in the lap of nature, doing nothing. Fifth stanza, by doing nothing, the poet doesn't mean total inactivity. He says that life is what it is about. It means that life is for all the activities that help us to support and celebrate life. Hence, the poet doesn't want any truck, that is association with activities that bring death and destruction. The poet wishes for a huge silence, for a fixed moment at a fixed time every day on the earth. He also wishes everyone to be free from single-minded, that is selfish thoughts, and also to stop all kinds of activities during this huge silence. He appeals to everyone to undergo quiet introspection, which will help us to understand ourselves. This will bring an end to the sadness and also the end of the activities, that is war, global warming, deforestation, etc., that threaten us with death. Next stanza, perhaps the earth can teach us the benefits of quiet introspection. The earth seems to be dead during winter. It is so because the earth undergoes quiet introspection. The benefit of this can be seen during a spring, when the earth is completely covered with greenery, life on all sides. Next one, the last stanza. Now the poet suggests to us to practically experience quiet introspection. He asks us to keep quiet and to be ready for quiet introspection till he counts up to 12. The moment we will undergo quiet introspection, the poet will go away. In the last line, we see that there is I will go away. It also means that I, means ego, will go away the moment we will undergo quiet introspection, the moment we will understand ourselves. Next one, figures of speech used is, first is anaphora, second and third line in the poem starts with let's. Next one, alliteration, we will, ww. Next is stop for 1 second, ss. Next is sudden strangeness, ss. Harm whilst, hh, the sound is. Next is his hurt hands HHH and clean clothes CC. Next one, repetition is used without us, without engines, without word is used. Next one, wars with gas, wars with fire, wars, the word has been repeated. Next one, pun is also used, arm means weapons also, the part of the body also, and activities also. Next one, symbolism, fisherman symbolizes business class, whales symbolizes ecological balance. Next one, oxymoron, doing nothing, that is the case of oxymoron, meaning two opposite meanings. Next one, exaggeration, that is also said to be hyperbole, the thought of having huge silence on the earth that seems to be impossible, yet it is written, and this is the case of hyperbole. Next one is personification, the earth can teach us, means the earth has been shown to teach just like human beings, just like persons, so that is the case of personification. Next one, the case of article writing section. In the case of article writing, first of all we give the heading and title that may be written in completely capital letters. Just below that there is the byline, by after that name and then whatever the post of the writer is. Now this very byline may also be used at the end of the article. Just after byline we leave one line space, then we give the introduction. In introduction we give the main you may say important thing regarding the title. In the body we give the details of the title, the description, and in the last one we conclude it, maybe giving the suggestions too. Important facts related to article. A. Heading should be brief, clear and catchy. Second, byline should include the name of the writer with the post. Next one, introduction should only give a brief description of the title. Next one, it is better to start the introduction with a quote if anyone remembers. Next one, body of the article may have pros and cons, advantage and disadvantage, cause and effect related to the title. Next one, in conclusion we may have suggestions. Next one, the opinion, the writer's opinion on the topic is written in the conclusion. And next one, language is formal and persons used in according to the subject, means first person, second person, third person, all the persons may be used according to the need of that very title. And the next one, an article may have 3 to 5 paragraphs written in 150 to 200 words. Next one, we have the next lesson, the third level, from Vistas by Jack Finney. The theme of this very story is wish to travel into the past. That is science fiction. Characters: Charlie, 31 years old. Second character, Louisa, wife of Charlie. Third character, Sam, psychiatrist friend of Charlie. One, about Charlie. He is a young man of 31 years old. He is married to Louisa, his wife. Next one, both lived in suburban area near New York City. Next one, Charlie worked near Grand Central Station. Next, he caught a train from the second level whenever late from office. Next, often entered into a wrong corridor, that is tunnel or subway. Next, he compares GCS, that is Grand Central Station, to a tree. Next one, GCS, that is Grand Central Station. It is the biggest underground metro station in New York. Next, it has 2 levels, first and second level. Next, the trains from the first level take passengers to the other city. Next one, the trains from the second level take passengers inside New York or to the suburban area. Next one, Charlie's fantasy of the third level. Next point to be remembered is Charlie's fantasy of the third level. One day Charlie left the office late. Next, he went to GCS, that is Grand Central Station, to catch a train from the second level. Next, he crossed the first level and got lost while going towards the second level. Next, suddenly he entered into the level different from the first and the second level. Next, he found few passengers in 19th century dress. Next, he found ticket counter and information counter made of wood. Next, he found brass spittoons and gas light. Next, he saw Currier Ives locomotive. Next one, he saw newspaper The World that was published in 19th century, and the date on which this very newspaper was published was 11 June 1894. Next one, he considered it to be the third level where one could catch a train of 19th century cities. Next, he gave money to purchase 2 tickets to Galesburg of 1894. Next, but the clerk refused to take that very money, considering it to be a fake currency because it was of 20th century, whereas this very Charlie, he had entered into the 19th century. Next, Charlie realized the mistake of not giving the money of 19th century. Next one, he came back home without getting the ticket. Next one, main point 4, reaction of his wife and Sam, psychiatrist friend. Sam considered Charlie's visit to the third level as a medium escape from the 20th century dominated by war, stress and insecurity. Next one, his wife was worried listening to it. Next, but Charlie was confident of the discovery of the third level. Next point, next day Charlie exchanged his $300 and received $200 of 19th century. Next, he went with that very money to GCS Grand Central Station many days but failed to find that very tunnel leading him to the third level. Next one, Sam's letter to Charlie. One day Charlie finds Sam's letter written from Galesburg to him on 18th July 1894. Next, he found this very letter in his grandfather's first day covers, that is envelope. Next, Sam told Charlie about his stay in Galesburg of 1894. Next, he also told him about his new business of selling fodder. Next, also told him the beautiful environment of Galesburg. Next, Sam requested him to continue searching the way to the third level and come to Galesburg with his wife. And next one, Charlie became confident about the presence of the third level and Galesburg of 1894 after receiving Sam's letter. Next point to be remembered is Sam's letter is actually an imagination of Charlie to justify his first imagination regarding the presence of the third level from where one could go to Galesburg of 1894. And next thing, the thing to be remembered for MCQ next one is the stamp on Sam's letter had the picture of President Garfield. Next one, the newspaper The World had the news related to President Cleveland. Next one, The Enemy by Pearl's Buck. This is the last chapter for the second term, Pearl's Buck. Theme, human goodness towards enemies even at the time of war. Sadao Hoki is the main character of the story. He was born and brought up on a beautiful island of Japan. Next, he was taken care of by his loving, sincere and serious father. His father's aim was to see him as a doctor. He was sent to America to study surgery and medicine at the age of 22. Next one, Sadao Hoki in America. Sadao Hoki in America. First of all, he found difficulty in finding a laws. He understood Americans' hatred towards Japanese. He got a laws in low-income grade colony. He often visited the house of a professor sympathetic towards foreign students. One day, he saw a Japanese girl there and fell in love. Next, but he didn't marry her because of his father's traditional thoughts. Next, he returned to Japan at the age of 30. Next one, Sadao Hoki's marriage. Sadao Hoki's father was very much happy to see his son as a doctor and scientist. Next, Sadao requested him for his marriage with Hana. Father allowed him after being satisfied of Hana's attachment to the Japanese culture and tradition. Next one, the two children were born within a few years. Next, father died after some time. Point number 4 is the enemy soldier. War started between America and Japan. Next, Dr. Sadao was not sent with the troops and was left to treat the sick general on that very island. Next, on one evening, Sadao and Hana saw a wounded and unconscious American soldier on the coastal area. Next, doctor remembered his duty as a doctor and brought him home for treatment. Next one, troubles faced by the doctor. A. Yumi the maid refused to clean the enemy soldier. B. The servants disliked the decision of Sadao to treat an enemy soldier. Next, the servants left the house after some days in fear of being caught. Next one, the doctor and his wife did all the household responsibilities and were always in the fear of being caught. Next one, main point 6, General Takimo's promise to Sadao. One day, Sadao was called by the general for treatment. Next, Sadao revealed about the enemy soldier to the general after the treatment. Next, the general promised to send 2 murderers to kill the enemy soldier. Next one, he suggested to Sadao to leave the door of the soldier's room unlocked from outside in the night. Next one, the escape of the enemy soldier. Sadao Hoki returned home but didn't tell anything to his wife. Next, he waited for the murderers to come in the night. Next, he was surprised to see the soldier alive next morning. Next, he waited for the murderers in the second night. Next, he was surprised again to see him alive next morning too. Next, at last, he decided to wait for the third night. Next, he was shocked and surprised to see him alive again the next morning, that is on the third morning. Next one, at last, he got determined to help him escape from that very island. Next one, he arranged a boat, kept food, water and cloth in it. Next, he gave him a torch to signal his presence by flashing it once and flashing it twice to tell his needs from the nearest island. Next one, the enemy soldier escaped that night. Next one, reward to Sadao. First, the servants returned one by one after some time. Next one day Sada was called by the general for treatment again. Next, after the treatment, Sada informed about the escape of the enemy soldier to the general. Next, the general was first of all angry, but soon accepted, forgetting the promise to send the murderers. Next one, he considered self-absorption to be the reason for forgetting to send the murderers. Next one, he suggested to Sada not to tell about the enemy soldier to anyone. Next, he promised to give Sada a reward for his service to him. Next one, Sada returned home and started looking towards the nearest island in the evening. Next one, that evening he didn't see any signal that day and considered it to be his real reward. So this is the end. I think all the things we have captured in a very short time, and this video, or this, you may say, audio and video combined together, certainly will help you all. Just a day or two before a day, certainly the moment you go on listening all these things, everything will be clear to you for MCQ. Okay, thank you all for watching the video, and if you have liked it, certainly I expect your subscription also, liking also, comment also, and sharing of this very video also. Thank you all for watching the video.